We have pricing as well as updates on the 2026 model year Lexus GX. But before we get into that and talk about the price hikes and availability, I want to hype you guys up. I want to hype you up for the Japan Mobility Show. I'm leaving in a week to preview guys what the heck Lexus has planned. For sure, a six-wheeled minivan known as the LS. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up, literally. Like, no one could have saw this coming. And I will give you hands-on coverage when I'm at the Japan Mobility Show with this van and whatever else Lexus has planned. And it's not that I know Lexus is planning to have a massive show. It can't begin and end with this 6x6 LS minivan concept. There's going to be a lot more there. For example, they'll have this new coupe on display, and hopefully we have more information about it. Okay, so that's a lock. The new ES is going to be there. The LFZC will get a more production ready version of this car. And I think that's about it. Okay, who knows what else? They got to have something else up their sleeve. Is it going to be the LFR? No. That could be very well just a Toyota product at this point in time. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the Lexus GX, and then we'll talk about sales, availability, pricing, all that stuff. It doesn't look like the hybrid has made it to our market yet. If you want a hybrid version of this, just go get the Land Cruiser badged version, the Toyota badged version of this vehicle. Obviously, the styling is different. Even though this has the 2.4 turbo hybrid four-cylinder in other markets, we still don't have that option here. And I think that's perfectly fine. I love hybrids, and the hybrid in the LX is far better than the non-hybrid variant. However, I think the twin turbo V6 here in the GX is just a really, really solid powertrain for this vehicle. And that's one of the big reasons you get this GX with the twin turbo V6 instead of the Land Cruiser. That turbo four-cylinder hybrid can't hold a candle to the smoothness and overall power and execution to the twin turbo V6 hybrid seen in the LX 700H. And it looks like that this 26 GX carries over, meaning if it's a carryover, there is no meaningful changes. And I don't remember this being a thing on previous model years. You guys will correct me. But it looks like a 1-inch suspension lift is standard on the Overtrail grades. That's pretty cool. And that's awesome because it pairs with the EKDSS. And also remember, the Overtrail is the only way you can get the new EKDSS on any Toyota or Lexus model here in the United States. I think you might be able to get it on a J300 Land Cruiser, but this system used to use hydraulic, but now it's electronic locking front and rear stabilizer bars, so it can disconnect them for better wheel articulation. So it's pretty cool. I actually haven't tested it out because during the media drive on the GX, when I was there, it was raining cats and dogs in Phoenix area, so go figure. There are no new paint colors for 2026 either. All the paint colors have been carried over. And for 26, all grades of the GX come standard with a power tilt and telescopic steering column and Lexus memory for the driver's seat and outer mirrors and steering column. We also have pre-wired auxiliary switches and an onboard air compressor become standard on the Overtrail grades. That's pretty good. GX, of course, is still being assembled at the Tahara plant. And let's get in pricing. That's all we have for the small updates for 2026. It's a $750 increase across the board, regardless of trim level. That is insignificant. Honestly, there is huge demand for the GX. And they're not able to meet that demand. And it's evident as well, like, we'll look at sales in a little bit. But for example, there's only 135 GXs in my area. If we look at a vehicle that should be selling about the same, that would be the TX. And look, there's like 400 TXs in my oh, finally a plug-in hybrid TX. What is this going to go for? I'm curious. 85K. Okay. Again, I haven't driven it yet. One of my colleagues said, hey, don't get your hopes up for it. It's not that great, but who knows? Maybe I'm just a stickler for a good Toyota Lexus plug-in hybrid. Whoa, wow. These don't even look to be in stock. These are just allocated. And if they're allocated, they could already be pre-sold. These are just placeholder images. Placeholder images means for like 99% of the time, the dealer doesn't have this car yet. It's en route. Okay, that is crazy. There are no GXs available just sitting on lots, at least not in my area. Ooh, look, there's even less Land Cruisers showing up. All right, these actually might be available, the 1958s, but people don't want to spend 60 grand on a really decontented Land Cruiser. All right. Okay. Here's a 73K one, 71K. So this is a problem for Toyota and Lexus. Something's going on in Tahara. It could be quality control. It could be some sort of parts snag. If we look at the GX was down 14%. There's none available. They can't sell what they don't have. All right. So the GX is just everything. And every single GX right now is pre-sold that's coming in. And they don't have the volume. I don't know why. They don't have the volume to satiate. If Lexus can meet the demand of the GX with adequate volume, Lexus would be beating BMW this year for sales. Instead, BMW's taking them to the woodshed. Is that even what they say? I don't even know. Taking them out back and whipping their butts with sedan and coupe sales BMW. Lexus is hard to beat when it comes to crossovers now, especially they got body on frame, something BMW doesn't have. BMW does have rear wheel drive / all wheel drive performance crossovers. But anyways, the GX and LX are very unique. And the GX volume is it's really sad because even though it's up 35%, they're down 400 units month over month in the month of September. If someone works with a dealer, or you're in the parts or you're in the transit industry, if you have any idea, put it in the comments or email me directly because something's up with the GX and the Land Cruiser. If we look at, again, the Land Cruiser, let's find it right here. Down 30% on the month. It's not because of a lack of demand. It's because of lack of volume. Remember, just looked at my area. There's like nothing out there, nothing on the ground for a Lexus GX. There are some Land Cruisers on the ground, but there's only 50 in my area. Little to no volume. That is crazy. If you look at something like a 4Runner, I know 4Runner sells a lot more, but there's over 300 available. I want to look at the LX. The LX, there are only 34 hybrids and 22. There's hardly any LXs out there as well. Now, that's pretty normal. Lexus LX is a very low volume vehicle. If we go back to sales, they've sold about 5,400 this year. So the LX is doing great. So I don't think there's not really a drop in availability or demand for the LX. I'll pull it up. There might be not LS. Rest in peace, LS. LX, and then we'll get rid of GX here. We'll see if there's any LXs. Yeah, these are in stock. There's plenty of LXs in stock sitting at dealers in and around my area. Meanwhile, the GX that outsells the LX like 5-1 doesn't have any availability on the ground. That is absolutely mind-blowing. There's something going on that's really worrisome because this vehicle should be running away with sales. It should be selling almost as much as the TX or possibly more. If the GX was in higher availability, it could be outselling the TX. Right now, it's 11,000 units behind. The demand, like I said, the demand for the GX is, from what I've heard from dealers, is pent up minimum 6 months, maybe as high as 18 months. There's just no availability for this thing. People are waiting a long time. And I wanted to share this for you guys real quick. Speaking of the Lexus ES, Dewan Ross. He is the vice president of the Lexus Toyota Motor North America. He's saying that the dealers are at an all-time high profit. Oh, this looks like my dealership. This looks like Lexus of Omaha. Guys, I'm not kidding. This looks like Lexus of Omaha. I was not working at this time because these are older models, the CT. My office was like right here. This might have been my office right there. That is crazy. These are the delivery bays back here. And then we would always have new cars sitting right here. I'm trying to think. I don't think we would ever have used cars, so we always have new cars there. Wow. Crazy that this image is from Lexus of Omaha. And maybe it's not, but like, look at this Affliction t-shirt as well that dates this. This RX is a 2016 RX. I think the CT was when was the last of Lexus CT USA? The 2017? Okay, yeah. So this time frame is about 2016, 2015, 2016. What we're looking at right here. That's crazy. Anyways, dealer profitability all-time high for Lexus at this point in time, even more than the pandemic. All right. Well, they're making hand over fist on a few. If we go back to the sales, hand over fist on the GX. They're pre-sold. You can charge whatever you want for them. Hand over fist on the TX. Got to remember there's years of pent-up demand for a more usable 3-row crossover, and the TX is absolutely smacking the MDX. Typically the segment leader in sales, the TX is absolutely blown by it by a lot of units, like 15,000 units. It's something crazy. The RX, well, sales are down a little bit, but it's still their best-selling model by a landslide. Meanwhile, the good old NX is doing quite well. So these vehicles for them are printing money. They're crossovers, maybe not the UX. The UX, that vehicle would sit around quite a while, especially when they also had the front wheel drive non-hybrid variant for sale in the US. That thing did not sell worth a darn. And the UX, I think, is still an underutilized vehicle. And there's talk that the new UX could be more off-roady focused. We'll see. Time will tell. All right. But I feel very confident that it's going to transform into something completely different than a soft little hatchback. Dewan Ross was talking about lease penetrations at like an all-time low right now because of the market, the interest rates and things like that. Okay. So it makes no sense for most customers to lease. If you look at lease penetration, it's below 30%. When I was working for Lexus, we were trying to always be as high as possible. You want as high as possible because it guarantees someone coming back off of a 2, 3, or 4 year lease in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. So that's the name of the game. You want lease. The Germans do lease a little bit better. They do lease better oftentimes because people know the complexity of the German cars and the reliability record of the German cars. And so they'd rather just lease it. But Lexus is without a shadow of a doubt the most reliable luxury car maker. I don't think no one's going to argue that. And if you do, you would have to be quite the lawyer to convince me that Lexus is not the most reliable luxury automaker. And I just mentioned Century. There's talks that the dealers will be able to opt in, just like I mentioned with Gazoo Racing, that the dealers would be able, these Lexus dealers specifically, would be able to opt in to sell Century models and to sell GR Gazoo Racing models, like the new GR GT flagship sports car, like a new GR Corolla or GR86 or a new Supra or Celica or whatever comes down the road. Those could all be sold not at a Toyota dealership, but at a Lexus dealership. All right, Dewan Ross was also talking about EVs. It was absolutely insane what he said. They thought that the take rate for ES, the new ES comes in 3, okay, but 2 major flavors. You have an ES EV with 2 front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and then you have an ES hybrid. They thought bringing the ES to the market in the US, it would be 80% take rate for the EV at one point and only 20% take rate for the hybrid. Remember, Lexus wanted as of, what was it, 2022 when they announced this, that they were going to be fully electric in North America and China and Europe, fully electric by 2030. Now, they haven't gone back on that yet. They will have to go back on that because, well, in China, that makes sense. They should be like almost fully electric in China right here, right now. This is a different world over there. They should be close to fully electric in Europe, just due to the crazy legislation over there. In the US, an 80% EV take rate for a sedan, I don't know what they were smoking. And they came down from that high because a couple years later, just 2 years later, they think it's going to be 80-20 favoring the hybrid. It might be more than that. It might be 90% hybrid ES to 10% EV ES in terms of sales. And Lexus is okay with that. And the reason is, they don't need to sell EVs at this point because of the rollback of CAFE. Doesn't mean anything anymore if you sell a bunch of V8 powered cars, at least maybe for the EPA, but not for CAFE. This also explains why Lexus screwed up so bad with the ES powertrain offerings. The powertrain offerings, is centered fully around it being electric. And then the hybrid was kind of like an afterthought. And that's totally evident in the press materials, in my opinion. And it's evident in the design. It's evident the lack of powertrains. If they thought 80% was going to be electric, why bring in the 2.4 turbo hybrid that you see in the Crown sedan? Why bring in that hybrid max? Why bring in a plug-in hybrid? This is Lexus being mismanaged here. It's very crazy to think that this is possible. But look, they didn't want to get left behind in the luxury segment. They're seeing, just a few years ago, Tesla going bonkers. They're seeing all these manufacturers of Germans are going hard into EVs, and Lexus did not want to be left behind. Toyota, on the other hand, they don't care. They're like, hey, we're working with Subaru. We'll pump out EVs for those that want them. All right. And now, especially with the lack of CAFE regulation, they don't really need any EVs. Just give what the market wants. And the market wants for an ES. I've never heard the market or any customer who's a fan of the ES, I've never heard any of them ask for a fully electric ES. IS is maybe a little bit different. It's sportier, that sort of thing. But an ES, they like V6s. They like smooth performance. Okay, great. An EV has smooth performance. Guess what? They loaded the ES with slow EV performance. The front wheel drive is like an 8 or 9 second 0 to 60 car. What are they thinking? The dual motor all wheel drive is like, what was it? Like a 5.5 second 0 to 60 car. I get it's a chauffeur car, right? It's their new flagship now that the LS is dead, until they bring it back as a 6x6 minivan. I need to cut it. I just need to cut myself off because the new ES, I think most of us are very, not disappointed. Well, maybe disappointed. Maybe that's the right word. I'm just like, I don't know what this car is. I'm disappointed by the lack of powertrain options more than anything on the new ES. Maybe the lack of physical buttons on the new ES. The interior is a little too basic for me, and the materials don't look good. The steering wheel looks bad. All right, the exterior styling on the ES is just like, what is it? What am I looking at? And maybe Lexus wants that, but does that exude luxury? If I look at a Lucid, because remember, this ES was designed first and foremost as an electric car with a hybrid as an afterthought. So when I look at an ES, all right, it doesn't scream luxury. It's like, what am I looking at? If I look at a Lucid sedan, I'm like, wow, that's futuristic. That's opulent. That is cutting edge. Okay. I don't think of that about Tesla, mainly because the Model S has been around for so long. That's the thing. This ES, they needed to make a gamble because the sedan market is shrinking, but the gamble was to make it very highly suited for the Chinese market. And as a result, it won't sell well here in the United States. We go back to the sales of the ES. I know this is about the GX, but I needed to get all this off my shoulder. Okay. The ES sales are slightly down. They're up on the month. People are like, This is my last chance to get a V6 and an ES. This is my last chance to get a real ES. That's it. Oh, there are a lot. There are 475. Guys, drop what you're doing. If you got 50K to burn, this is one of the best luxury sedans on the market, the ES 350. I can't believe. Notice there's no ES 250 all-wheel drives out there, not in my area. There might be a nationwide. I wonder. Let me look all miles to see if there's an ES 250. No, I don't see any ES 250s. That'd be fun. They may have discontinued it. That's fine with me because that vehicle, are you kidding me? There's a lot of ESs out there, a ton. The hybrid's fantastic, 45 miles a gallon. You know, the V6 is smooth. It's the last V6 like powered sedan and Toyota's and Lexus's lineup here available in the US. It's still in the IS, I should say. All right. The rear wheel drive focused IS, this 3.5 liter V6. So still available there, but I can't believe it's gone in this car. It's just going to be hybrid and fully electric. Anyways, GX, this video is about the GX, and I went on some long rants because I have a lot to talk about. Dealers are in all-time high profits for Lexus. We have minivans down the hatch. We have new sports cars coming down the hatch. This is going to be fully electric. You know it is. Okay. We have new UX coming soon, new NX coming probably the next couple of years. We have the new TZ coming. So they got stuff coming, but new IS, which a lot of you guys want to know, I don't know. I think they're just going to, all that they had planned was a fully electric IS at this point. That's why they keep refreshing this generation IS, which has been around since like 2013. Okay, so thank you guys. I got to shut it down. Can't wait to give you hands-on, boots on the ground scoop of what Lexus has to reveal for us in Japan in just about a week from now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have a great day and peace.